Hi everyone, my name is Craig Hankin. I'm the Draft Legal Coordinator and the National Technical Official Coordinator for USA Triathlon. I'm going to be covering the equipment and the competition rules for USAT Draft Legal Duathlon competition. So thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, please email me at technical.officials@usatriathlon.org. Now, the rules of competition that will be enforced at a USA Triathlon Draft Legal competition are actually the ITU Draft Legal rules. And you can learn more about them and access those rules, the full set of rules, and it's an extensive set of them at www.triathlon.org. So first things first, let's talk about gear that will be approved for use for draft legal competitions. You can see here the uniform needs to be a one or a two-piece uniform. It must fully cover your torso. Women may wear a one-piece swimsuit. That's acceptable. If there's a zipper in the uniform in the front, that must remain up during competition. A lot of times a one-piece uniform will have a zipper in the back, and that can be up or down, just depends on how you prefer it. You may have a uniform that has sleeves on it. If you do have sleeves for USAT draft legal competitions, those sleeves are approved, but not for international competitions. But for events that will be hosted in the US, sleeves will be allowed. They may not extend below the shoulders. Also, if you wear compression sleeves or compression socks, those are allowed as well. Everyone will receive a numbering kit from the race director before the race. It'll either be a set of temporary tattoos or they'll do body marking with markers. More than likely, they are going to number your race number on both your left and your right shoulder and your left and the right leg. They'll also provide you with a race bib, and that must be worn as well. Every athlete will be required to wear a helmet. And as you can see here in your numbering kit, there will be a sticker. That sticker should go on the front. And if there are two stickers, then it should go on the front and then the left side as well. Very important point about the helmets. When you come to transition on race morning, officials will be reviewing your equipment, your bike, your helmet, your uniform, and your numbering. Related to the helmet, you do have to wear a helmet that's undamaged and not altered. It does need to be clearly labeled as satisfying U.S. consumer product safety standards. That's a CPSC sticker. And that original sticker must be in place in your helmet. I cannot emphasize that enough. If the officials take a look inside your helmet and they're going to ask to see your inside of your helmet, if they cannot find that sticker in there, then you will not be allowed to race until you find a helmet with a sticker in it that is the CPSC sticker. They'll also be checking your chin straps to make sure they're snug up against your chin. Aero helmets are not recommended. And then again, your helmet stickers from the race kit will go on the front and on the left side. So this is a quick picture of what a CPSC sticker looks like. You can see this is a Rudy Project helmet. CPSC stickers vary. Here's another one that's for a giant helmet. So they're different colors, but they all say specifically that they comply with US CPSC safety standards for bicycle helmets. Now moving on to your bike. The expected bike for the competition will be a standard road bike. We are going to be looking, officials are going to be looking for traditional drop style handlebars, and they'll be checking to make sure that the ends of those bars are capped with bar end plugs. Your wheels specifically must have 12 spokes or more, and disc wheels are not allowed. So 12 spokes or more, disc wheels are not allowed, and so that could equal a zip 404 on the front and a zip 808 on the back, or it could equal a head wheel on the front and a zip on the back. They just have to have 12 spokes or more and not discs. New rule this year as well is that disc brakes are allowed, so that will be no problem. I will mention that clip-on aero bars of any type are not allowed for draft legal competitions, whether it's a duathlon or a triathlon. So again, aero bars are not allowed, whether they're the shorties or the jammers, the ones that sit behind the brake levers like are here shown on the left, or they're the full aero set where they're integrated into the handlebar set into the bull horns. Those are not allowed either. So let's just talk about transition here quick. The start of the race, every athlete location in transition at a bike rack will be numbered, and that number will match the numbers that are on your helmet, your bike, and both arms. So when you're facing that marked rack position, you're going to hook the nose of your saddle over the rack so that your front wheel is down. Your gear should be either on your bike or behind your front wheel of your bike. So I have a picture I'm going to show in a second of how that should look, and that will help explain that a little more. One thing to note is once your bike has been reviewed by the officials and you've entered transition and racked your bike, it cannot be removed until you start the competition. So this is how we like to see transition set up. You can see here there's a sticker on the rack there, 492. The athlete has hooked one of their straps from their helmet over the brake lever, so it's hanging there. This particular athlete looks like they do a flying mount, so both shoes, but bike shoes, are clipped into the bike, and they've got their running shoes right there next to them on the ground. You'll notice the other idea here is if you don't do a flying mount, then you just scooch your running shoes back a little further and put your bike shoes right in front of it. So during transition one, again, you'll come in from your first run and you'll place your the gear that you've used. So if you have let's say you ran with a hat and sunglasses and you don't want to wear those on the bike, then that gear is just going to be set right there next to your front tire near your rack number. Back up to run one, it's important that you follow the prescribed course. If it's a 2-loop course, you need to do 2 loops. If it is a 1-loop course, do 1 loop. The key is do whatever the race director tells you to do. More importantly, the race bib that you have given to you by the race director, you do need to wear that during the run. It's mandatory, and it must be worn and visible on your front during the run. So again, it's mandatory to wear the race bib during the run, and it must be on your front during that run as well. Related to the bike, again, follow the prescribed course, so do the correct number of laps. Drafting is allowed, so you can pass on either the left or the right side. Either is fine. I would propose that you communicate with other riders on the course about your intentions. It's perfectly acceptable to be saying things like passing on your left or passing on your right, or it's a safety thing, and I think it will help everyone in the competition. Related to the race bib, while it was mandatory to wear on the run, it is not required to be worn on the bike. So for transition 2, you've completed the first run, the full bike, and now you're heading into transition 2. So you're going to hit the dismount line, make sure that you hit that, and then you'll be running your bike back to your marked position in transition at the bike rack. I will remind you that your helmet does need to remain clipped and in place even after you've passed the dismount line. You may not take that helmet off, excuse me, or unclip that chin strap until your bike is racked back on the rack, or you'll receive a penalty. So again, you're going to be heading back to transition to the place where you started. As you face that your number there, you have a couple of options on re-racking your bike. You may rack it just like you did the first time, so by the nose of the saddle with the front wheel facing down, or you may shoot it through transition so that the back wheel is up, and then the last one is the last one is with both brake levers on the bike rack. Related to your equipment that you've used on the bike that you won't be using during the run, that should just go down by your bike there on the ground under your rack number. So now we're heading into the second run. Again, follow the prescribed course, and I can't stress enough, you do need to wear that race bib. It's mandatory, and it must be visible on the front, on your front during the entire run. So now let's just jump quickly into the rules. So rules for draft legal competition, that is a sprint distance, all of the penalties are 10 seconds. The officials are all briefed. With draft legal racing and age group athletes, we know it's new. We're really excited that athletes are embracing this, and we're going to work very, very hard as an officiating team to really educate athletes on the rules during competition. So there'll be a lot of warnings and what we call a stop and amend. So this would basically be a verbal warning by an official, and it's to correct an issue that they see that could cause a penalty during competition. So in that instance, for example, if you run to transition to grab your bike, you pull your bike off the rack, you don't have your helmet on, they're going to probably blow their whistle and say, stop, please put your helmet on or buckle your helmet. They're going to make sure that you do that while you're stopped, and then they're going to let you proceed from there. And if they do that sort of a penalty, it's called, again, stop and amend or a warning, and that would be that you've served your penalty at that point. Second type of penalty is a time penalty. It's a 10-second penalty, as I mentioned. This can be served in transition, can be served anywhere on the race course, or it can be served at the penalty box on the run course. So this is usually done when an official can't get to you as quickly as they need to, and so they will call that number into the penalty box. The penalty box will be located, I guess, again on the run course, and the penalty box looks suspiciously like a 10 by 10 tent because it is a 10 by 10 tent. It has a big dry erase board next to it that says penalties on it, and there are handwritten numbers on that board written in dark marker. Those numbers are related to athlete numbers, and so if you come up on the penalty box, you should take a look, make sure that your race number is not on there. We're going to talk about that in a second, about what happens if your race number is on the penalty box board. Finally, the third penalty is disqualification. Sometimes that is shown as a red card. A lot of times an official will stop you, excuse me, and then tell you that you're disqualified. This is a pretty extreme, a very extreme situation if you are disqualified. So again, the athletes will be shown a red card by the official. They are then disqualified. You do have the opportunity to complete the race if you're disqualified, because there is an appeal and a protest process that you can go through to appeal that decision by the official. So these are just a few bullets related to competition penalties. Again, they're all 10 seconds. If an official doesn't get to you and stop and amends, helps you amend the situation, then it'll be a 10-second penalty. If you do an early start on the run, it's 10 seconds. If there's more than one person, then we're going to restart the whole race. We'll bring you all back to the start line and start it over. Blocking or interfering the progress of another competitor, again, that's a stop and amend or 10 seconds. Making sure that your helmet is buckled when you're touching the bike. So this is a big one. I like to point this out because it's different than a non-draft USAT rule, competition rule. In a draft legal race, which is following the ITU draft legal rules, your helmet does need to be buckled when you're touching your bike. So that means in transition, once you've unracked your bike or once you've hit the dismount line, then you do need to make sure that that helmet is buckled during that time. You may not ride your bike in transition, so that's related to hitting the mount and dismount lines. You do need to do the correct number of laps, excuse me, and unsportsmanlike conduct will result in disqualification. We've designed the races so that is enough time between the waves and that the course is safe so that the lap out rule is not in effect. People will not be lapped out during this race. So back to the penalty box. Again, it's a 10 by 10 tent. It's located on the run course. It's about 200 meters before the finish line. At that tent, there's a dry erase board, and on that board it says penalties at the top, and there's handwritten numbers handwritten in dark marker. If your bib number, the number that you're wearing on your bib and your arms and your legs, is written on that board, it means you need to stop and serve your penalty. So the way this works is you roll into the penalty tent. The official will ask you to identify yourself, and that's as simple as saying, I'm athlete 212 or whatever your number is. At that point, the official will start timing the penalty. It's 10 seconds. You do need to remain in the penalty box for that entire time, and you may not receive any outside assistance while you're serving the penalty. So if you have a coach or a family member, they may not hand you gel or a water bottle. If they do, then the official will stop timing, and they won't start over. They'll just stop timing, and then once the outside assistance has stopped, then they'll continue on with serving the 10-second penalty. The key here is that the official is the person who is timing the 10 seconds, not you, not your family member or coach. So the official will let you know when your time is fully served and when you can go. One important thing is that penalties that are not served in the penalty box will result in disqualification. So it's very, very important that you check the penalty board. It can have some pretty significant ramifications to your race if you don't serve that, because you'll be disqualified. I've seen this happen. I know in the first couple of races we did, we briefed this rule specifically a number of times, and we still had some athletes who were in the top 3 places who didn't serve penalties and were disqualified from the competition. So please, please, please look at that penalty box board. Make sure your number's not on it, and if it is, serve your penalty and then proceed with the rest of your race. So let's say you do get a penalty and you don't agree with it. You don't think that you did it. You do have a couple of options. There's a protest and appeal process that's available to all athletes. The protest process is really related to anything you think is unfair before the competition begins. So it's filed against really the conduct of an athlete or athlete's equipment, of an official, or the conditions of competition. And you may file a protest with the lead official, provided it hasn't already been observed and ruled upon by officials. So this might be related to somebody racing in the wrong age group or with equipment that is not fair. That is usually, again, done before the race, and you would find the lead official before the race, and they will help you through that process. Related to appeals, an appeal is a request for a review of a decision made by any of the officials or by the competition jury. So this is almost always done during competition, and this is your chance to say, by the way, I don't think I did the penalty that you think I did, and I'd like to appeal that decision. The way that process works is that you notify the lead official of your intent to submit a protest or appeal within 15 minutes of your finish time. At that point, the lead official, who's at the finish line, will give you a form to complete. You will take the form, enter your information into it, and then no more than 30 minutes after your finish time, you have to return that completed form to the lead official, who will be at the finish line, with a deposit of $50, cash or check, to the lead official. At that point, the information is reviewed by the lead official and the competition jury. There's a short interview process with you and with anyone else that needs to be involved, or other witnesses. The thing to remember is that all decisions on appeals and protests are final. If you have any questions about your protest or appeal or about this, you can email me. My name is Craig Henkin again at technical.officials@usatriathlon.org. Competition jury is 3 people. Will be myself, it'll be Tim Yant, it'll be Brian D'Amico. So that's all I have today for Draft Legal Duathlon rules and competition rules and competition equipment. If you have any questions, please email me at technical officials, technical